Of course, we want to maintain some sort of looseness and relaxation. However, if we are too low on the arousal level down here, your body won't generate the epinephrine and the norepinephrine that will help us with our energy levels during the competition. So many more every day. What's going on, everybody? It's Hopper, it's Brutus. We're back at it again. This video will be about sports psychology, and we have this time the inverted U. The inverted U is based off of arousal and performance. I find this topic to be vastly intriguing. As always, as we move forward with this video, we will have charts and graphs to further discuss the points here below. So let's get it started, shall we? When we have the inverted U, we have the independent variable, which is arousal.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
And then the dependent variable will be an athlete's performance. If we have arousal here and an athlete's performance, arousal and then performance, right here, there's usually going to be a nice generalized curve that we have here, although there is some suggestions that it can be different for different sports, basketball versus golf versus hockey versus football, wrestling. For now, we will just generalize this and utilize a normal curve just like this. Although, as I mentioned, some of the studies suggest that in other sports, you may have a curve that's up here and down, and another curve that's over here and down. But again, back here to this generalized curve, because we will just look at the idea of the sympathetic nervous system and to get that optimum level of arousal so that we can perform at our best. So we have this section right about in through here is where an athlete will receive the optimized amount of performance, right in through here. And as we move closer towards a competition, there's a couple things that will happen based off of our physiology, and that's going to be your body's signals to get ready for combat. Again, our bodies don't know if we lift weights or if we carry a bag of groceries or if we vacuum the living room floor. Our bodies just know muscular contractions. We know that we play basketball. We know that we play football. Regardless, we can make the argument that your body is preparing for some sort of combat, some sort of competition. So what will generally happen is when your body starts to move into that sympathetic nervous system and your body starts to move away from the parasympathetic nervous system, several things will start to happen. One of which is the competitor will have the desire to urinate.
I gotta pee.
I believe he said he had to go pee.
And to release the bladder full of the urine and prepare the body for the competition and for the combat. Another item that starts to happen is when your body moves into the sympathetic nervous system is your pupils will start to dilate and your blood will also move away from the feed and breathe section as the veins and arteries create more dilation, and so we can get the blood out to the skeletal muscle mass. When we look at this graph, we want to ensure that the optimum levels of arousal is achieved. Of course, we don't want to be way over here where the performance will start to decline as an athlete is too psyched up, is too tense. Of course, we want to maintain some sort of looseness and relaxation.
I don't want to pull a hammy.
However, if we are too low on the arousal level down here, your body won't generate the epinephrine and the norepinephrine that will help us with our energy levels during the competition. It's imperative for the athlete to find this middle ground in through here. We can also make the argument that everyone is different. Sure, there is some validity to that. However, before any sort of competition, the athlete needs to ensure that the sympathetic nervous system is functioning. Now, with this notion of arousal over performance, again, if we are too aroused, then we can start to get some negative effects in through here. I've experienced this personally when I was younger and I used to run cross-country meets, and I never knew why this happened, and I know now. My arousal level used to be so high that over and through here, as the adrenal glands would flow, I started to get incredible amounts of lower back pain. And of course, that's where the adrenal glands are located, is on top of the kidneys, and it would seize me up. It was awful, and I never could understand why. I finally figured it out, but we never want to have an athlete that's too aroused to this point where the side effects are detrimental and it can impede the performance significantly. So the idea of maintaining some sort of relaxation and a sense of looseness is paramount. And again, we don't want to be over here to the point where we're not sweating, that we're not increasing our core temperature. Another item that also happens as we start to increase our core temperature and we start to warm up, the rate at which our body can send the signals through the motor neurons will increase, and that is called rate coding. So I'll put another chart or diagram right in through here to give a visual representation of a motor neuron. But if we have the muscle belly right through here, and then we have the cell, and then we have the neuron, we have the dendrites out through here, and then we attach into the neuromuscular junction, the signal that is sent to ACH has a certain rate to it. And as we increase our body's core temperature, the rate coding, the discharge rate that we can send this signal that tells the muscle to contract, that will increase. And this is paramount. It is so critical to ensure that we have warmed up enough that way that we can improve the rate at which the signal is sent to the tissue to tell the muscle to contract. Okay, moving on. So this chart right here will demonstrate the differences between the arousal level and the differences between the motor tasks. So up here we have the gross motor tasks. Down here we have the fine motor tasks. So down here would be, if we had golf or bowling.
That makes me sick. Well, what do you care?
Up here would be basketball, football, wrestling, and there is a strong correlation between how much arousal is needed versus the actual motor task itself. So a higher level of arousal is often correlated with the more of the gross motor tasks up here. And then if we have the fine motor tasks like golf and bowling, we're typically going to have a little bit lower state of arousal. And again, these are generalized concepts, not necessarily based off of the individual per person. I understand that everyone kind of has a different outlook on how they want to compete, but these are just the general guidelines that we want to follow. And to understand the arousal levels versus the motor tasks is a critical part. Obviously down here with golf and bowling, we won't need as much adrenaline flowing through the veins. That's a terrible Ultimate Warrior reference, I apologize.
Warriors float through the veins and the power of the warrior.
Float through the veins. But we won't need it as much down here as we would if we were doing a gross motor unit movement, such as the wrestling, the football, and the basketball. And of course, down below in the description, I will put the books that I have referenced to discuss this topic. And please keep in mind, there are many events that occur as the sympathetic nervous system starts to engage. These are just a few of them. The dilation of the pupil, which we previously discussed so that we can see better. The vasodilation of the arteries so we can get the blood flow to the respiring tissues more effectively. And as the epinephrine is released, this will cause more glucose to be released from the liver that we can utilize as a fuel source, as well as the sympathetic nervous system will actually start to engage in lipolysis to use fats for a fuel source as well. So to conclude, it is critical for an athlete to find this balance and to find this middle part of this inverted U. We need to ensure that there's a high enough state of arousal so that we can engage the sympathetic nervous system and garner all the benefits from that, but that there's not too much arousal that we start to impede our performance. And again, this performance level will be heavily influenced by our state of arousal. Not too little, not too much. So for those of you that have any questions, please feel free to send me an email or put the questions in the comments below. For those of you that wish to support this channel, please feel free to utilize the links below to send a donation. At the very least, like this video, hit that subscribe button, and share this content, and we will see you all next time. Yes, you. Down, just like that.